Welcome to Recaps Movie. Today we will be talking about a 2019 American superhero movie titled Avengers Endgame. Clint Barton is teaching his daughter archery on his remote farm in the opening scene, while his wife prepares a picnic lunch for them. Clint's daughter vanishes, and the rest of Clint's family, along with half of all life in the universe, disintegrates as a result of Thanos snapping his fingers after acquiring all 6 Infinity Stones. Following Thanos' defeat on Titan, Nebula and Tony Stark are stranded in space, but are rescued by Carol Danvers and reunited with Natasha Romanoff, Bruce Banner, Steve Rogers, Rocket, Thor, and James Rhodes. The team devises a plan to steal Thanos' Infinity Stones and use them to reverse his actions, only to discover that he had used the stones a second time to destroy them, preventing their further use. He informs the remaining Avengers that he did so in order to prevent the stones from being used for further nefarious purposes. Thor, enraged, beheads Thanos, claiming that this is what he should have done in Wakanda. Scott Lang escapes the quantum realm 5 years later to discover that his daughter Cassie is now a teenager and that Hope Van Dyne, along with half of the population, has vanished in the snap. Rogers has been leading grief counseling sessions for survivors still dealing with the aftermath of the snap, while Romanoff has been tirelessly keeping watch over both Earth and the rest of the universe, with the assistance of Rhodes, Danvers, Okoye, Rocket, and Nebula. Lang approaches Romanoff and Rogers, explaining that while 5 years had passed for them, only 5 hours had passed for him in the quantum realm, where time stretches much differently. The three visit Stark, who is now married to Pepper Potts, and explain their theory that the quantum realm can be used to travel back in time and steal the Infinity Stones before Thanos can collect them. Stark initially rejects their proposal out of fear of jeopardizing his family and the peace he has found, but after reflecting on Peter Parker's death, he decides to test theoretical models that would work with Lang's quantum tunnel, eventually finding one that works. With Stark on board, the remaining Avengers set about reassembling their team. Bruce Banner has now accepted the Hulk as a part of himself, merging his and the Hulk's consciousnesses into one. After hearing from Rhodes about an assassin who uses similar methods to Barton, Romanoff sets out to find him. Barton, consumed with grief after the loss of his family, has been operating under the alias Ronin, brutally massacring criminal cartels and gangs all over the world in order to improve the world that remains. Natasha tracks him down in Japan, and after some convincing, he agrees to rejoin the team in order to try to reunite him with his family. Banner and Rocket travel to New Asgard, a small town where Valkyrie and the last Asgardian survivors have settled. They find Thor, who is overcome with guilt for failing to kill Thanos in Wakanda. Thor has gained weight, his hair and beard have grown out, and he spends his free time eating junk food, drinking, and playing Fortnite with his friends Korg and Meek. Thor reluctantly agrees to rejoin the Avengers after some persuasion from Rocket and Banner. The Avengers are reunited with a plan after testing the quantum time machine on Barton, who confirms that it works. Banner, Rogers, Lang, and Stark set out to retrieve the time, mind, and space stones during the Battle of New York in 2012. Banner travels to the Sanctum Sanctorum, where the Ancient One informs him that removing the time stone from her timeline will prevent Stephen Strange from preventing Caecilius from destroying nature's laws in the future. When Banner tells her that Strange willingly gave up the time stone to Thanos, she lets him have it, implying that Strange had planned for a specific sequence of events to occur in order for Thanos to be defeated. Banner also promises that the stones will be returned to their proper timelines to avoid any negative consequences. After the Avengers seize Loki's space stone, Lang and Stark attempt to steal it. Lang causes a mild cardiac arrest in Stark's past self by pulling a circuit in his artificial heart, while Stark steals the briefcase containing the Tesseract when no one is looking. Their plan is foiled when Stark drops the briefcase after being hit by the Hulk by accident. Loki then steals the space stone and uses it to flee. Rogers is successful in stealing the Mind Stone from undercover Hydra agents, but he encounters his past self, who misidentifies him as a disguised Loki. After defeating past Steve, Rogers rejoins Stark and Lang, who must now devise a new method of obtaining the space stone without exhausting the limited supply of Pym particles that allow them to travel through the quantum realm. Lang returns to the present with the Mind Stone, while Rogers and Stark devise a plan to steal the space stone from a US Army installation in the 1970s, as well as additional Pym particle vials to make the journey back home. During his visit, Rogers notices Peggy Carter, and Stark has a meaningful conversation with his father Howard. Rocket and Thor journey to Asgard in order to retrieve the Reality Stone before Malekith employs it against the Nine Realms. Thor is reminded that his mother, Frigga, is about to die and has a chance encounter with her, while Rocket steals the Ether, the vaporized version of the Reality Stone, from Jane Foster. After Frigga counsels Thor, the two return to Earth, and Thor retrieves his hammer Mjolnir, delighted to discover that he is still worthy of it. Nebula and Rhodes journey to Morag in order to steal the Power Stone before Peter Quill. Nebula malfunctions and remains on Morag as Rhodes returns to the present with the Power Stone. Thanos and Ebony Maw discover the presence of future Nebula and go to kidnap her using two consciousnesses operating on Nebula's systems. Nebula recognizes what has occurred and attempts to warn the others, but it is too late. Thanos scans her memories and discovers the Avengers' plan, then sends the more loyal Nebula from the past back to the present as a spy. Barton and Romanoff travel to Vormir in search of the Soul Stone, but are conflicted when Red Skull, the stone's keeper, informs them that it can only be obtained by sacrificing someone they care about. The two spar over who will make the sacrifice, with Romanoff eventually taking the fall and a distraught Barton returning to Earth with the Soul Stone. After everyone has returned to Earth, Stark, Rocket, and Banner set out to create a gauntlet to wield the stones, one made of the same nanotech as Stark's most recent Iron Man suit. Banner volunteers to wear the gauntlet and bring back everyone who vanished in Thanos' snap, reasoning that he can withstand both the gamma radiation and the excruciating pain and injury caused by the stones. He succeeds, but they are attacked almost immediately by Thanos, who has been brought to Earth by the imposter Nebula, destroying the quantum portal. Thanos raises the Avengers' headquarters, dividing the team and allowing the gauntlet to fall into the hands of Barton. The future Nebula is killed by her future self while attempting to steal the Infinity Stones from Barton, while Rogers, Thor, and Stark confront Thanos, who decides to use the Infinity Stones to destroy the universe and create one in his vision instead. The three go one-on-one with Thanos, with Rogers confirming Thor's theory that he is worthy of wielding Mjolnir, but they are all defeated by Thanos. T'Challa appears before Rogers shortly after Thanos' army lands on Earth, along with all of the Avengers and other allies revived by Banner, before launching an assault on Thanos and his army. Thanos wrestles with numerous Avengers for the Infinity Stones after a lengthy battle in which Stark is reunited with Parker and Quill is reunited with past Gamora. Thanos orders Glaive to have his ship fire multiple energy blasts when he is bound by Wanda Maximoff's energy, nearly destroying the Avengers' efforts. Captain Marvel reappears, destroying Thanos' ship while battling for control of the Infinity Gauntlet. Using the new Gauntlet's nanotechnology, Stark transfers the Infinity Stones from Thanos' hand to his own and uses them to burn Thanos and his entire army to ash, triumphantly proclaiming, "I am Iron Man." Parker and Potts console Stark as he dies from radiation exposure from the stones. Following the battle, the Avengers hold a memorial service for Stark, whose Mark I arc reactor is floating in the lake next to his house. Barton and Wanda Maximoff find comfort in the fact that Romanoff and Vision, who did not survive Thanos' snap, would be proud of their victory. Thor appoints Valkyrie as Queen of Asgard and joins the Guardians of the Galaxy in order to discover his true purpose, free of the responsibilities of royalty and leadership for the first time in his life. Parker returns to school, where he is reunited with his best friend Ned, while Barton returns home to his family. Meanwhile, Rogers is tasked with returning the stones and Thor's hammer to their original timelines, but instead chooses to stay in the past with Carter for the rest of his life. He reappears as an old man before Sam Wilson and Bucky Barnes, passing his shield in the mantle of Captain America to Wilson. In a brief flashback, Rogers and Carter are in an ordinary-looking house, finally sharing the dance they never got to have in their living room, finally happy. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to get more of our videos. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell.